Shalom from Jerusalem. You know, the Temple Mount is the holiest place in the world for the Jewish people. In fact, the Temple Mount, the location of both the first and second Holy Temple, is the one place on earth, we believe, that was actually sanctified by God Himself from the very beginning of creation, the place of the resting of the divine presence, and the very same place that all of the prophets of Israel tell us that eventually the Holy Temple will once again be rebuilt. You know, some time ago, the Temple Mount was in the news, and a lot of noise was made, and a lot of attention was focused on the fact that Israel was carrying out archaeological digging at the foot of the Temple Mount, and the issue at that time had to do with a plan that Israel has since abandoned to replace the ramp that is the one-access ramp that is used for tourists and for non-Muslims to access the Temple Mount. And that ramp had been very badly damaged by some severe weather patterns over the past couple of years. So Israel began a dig at the foot of the Temple Mount, very, very far from the Muslim shrines on the Temple Mount, near the Western Wall Plaza, on the southern side of the Temple Mount. And the purpose of that work, again, was to work on building this new access ramp. In the course of the preparation for the ramp, some ancient structures were discovered, and under the scrutiny of the Antiquities Authority and other governmental bodies, and eventually under international supervision as well, that work was carried out under a frenzied, fever pitch tirade that was leveled against Israel by the Muslim world. And the charges that were leveled against Israel was that Israel was purposely trying to undermine the stability and the sanctity of the al-aqsa mosque on the Temple Mount, and attempting to, in fact, challenge the sovereignty of Islam on the Temple Mount. And actually, nothing could be further from the truth. The work that was being carried out physically, logistically, was very far from the Temple Mount, and no danger whatsoever was ever a possibility, structurally or otherwise, towards the reality of the Temple Mount today. However, radical elements in Islam took advantage of the fact that this was going on to rally world support against Israel. And once again, many countries in the world, without really investigating and without really asking what was going on, turned upon Israel and demanded an explanation, demanded international supervision, because they took this at face value, this accusation that was being leveled by forces within Islam that Israel is in fact trying to get away with something. This was all one of the top stories several months ago. Right now, though, here in Jerusalem, the Temple Mount is again in the news, but ironically, you perhaps haven't heard about it. It is making local news, but it's not being reported, for the most part, outside of Israel, that the Muslims right now, under the offices of the Waqf, which is the official Muslim trust that governs over the day-to-day administration of the Temple Mount, is at this very moment conducting an excavation on the Temple Mount without any archaeological supervision whatsoever, and in fact is digging an 80-meter-long trench along the heightened platform of the Temple Mount in the very place where, according to many opinions, the Holy Temple stood. This is actually a tremendous desecration of Judaism's holiest shrine. It is really a travesty of justice, because Israel is extremely careful and pays very great attention to the sensitivity of others, but bowing to tremendous pressure that is brought against her sovereignty by the forces of Islam, Israel is strangely insensitive to what would be called sensitivity to herself, to Jewish significance, to Jewish sovereignty, and to Jewish history. So it's really kind of a microcosm of the reality that we have here, that right now this work is going on. It's going on under the protection of the Israel police. The Antiquities Authority, which is responsible for all archaeological excavation everywhere, all over the country, is turning a blind eye to the excavation by the Muslims on the Temple Mount out of a fear of provoking Muslim unrest. And so what the simple equation boils down to is that when it comes to the accusations that are leveled against Israel, these things are readily acceptable, touted by the world media, and those flames are fanned, and they are totally irrational and without basis. But here we have a situation, this is not the first time, where we have rampant disregard for scientific principles, for the ethics of the scientific community, and for the sensitivity of other religions going on right here in Israel because of the fear of Muslim unrest.